Going into this World Cup, there was a lot of expectations surrounding the young superstars. Mbappe isn't exactly that kid that burst onto the scene 8 years ago. He's closing in on 30 frighteningly quick, actually. He's the biggest star currently in his prime, though, playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world and coming off a disappointing Euros in 2024 and a trophyless season for Madrid this year. He had to show up this tournament to reclaim his place at the top of the modern football hierarchy. After all, this is his competition, the one place he's inarguably dominated no matter what throughout his entire career. Then you have Vinicius Jr., generally a disappointment for Brazil most of his career and also coming off a season full of turmoil with Madrid. With the general consensus being that Madrid might have to choose between him and Mbappe, he needed to prove that he was the one worth being the face of the franchise. Not to mention Brazil's disappointing World Cup performances by their standards since 2002. Knockout meltdown after knockout meltdown. Now they're viewed as a shell of themselves compared to their great history. Either Vinny steps up and puts the country on his shoulders, or he shrinks again and the drought continues. Haaland, playing in his first major tournament for Norway, who hadn't been in one since the 2000 Euros and hadn't been in a World Cup since 1998. Who knows when he get a chance like this again? Legacies are built at the World Cup. This was his first chance of possibly only a few chances, and he had to make use of it. Lamine Yamal, still only 18 and coming off a hamstring injury late in the season, believed by many to be the best player in the world even at his young age, hailed by many as the next all-time great. How fast could he shake off that injury and prove those people right? Ousmane Dembele, the current Ballon d'Or holder who just won his second straight Champions League. After an insane career turnaround, he still isn't respected by many as a legit all-timer despite winning the sport's greatest individual award. Worst Ballon d'Or winner ever, shit league merchant who needs extra rest to be effective. But if you dominate at the World Cup, no one cares about lesser narratives people are peddling. You're stamped in the history books forever. Zidane built his legacy as arguably the GOAT midfielder at the World Cup. Nobody cared that he had like 2 consistent seasons in his whole career. He always put belt to ass on the biggest stage. Always. Olise is still chasing the Ballon d'Or despite Bayern's UCL semifinal loss to PSG. He just recently became a global star, but it's hard to call yourself the best winger in the world if you haven't done anything for country yet after your maul helped lead his country to a Euros title at 16 years old. Now at his first major tournament for France, it was time to make a global statement of his own. Harry Kane, much older than any other player mentioned here, but with just as much of a chip on his shoulder. He only recently got his first taste of silverware, but after back-to-back Euros final losses and a missed penalty in the 2022 World Cup that was part of why they got eliminated, that England itch still desperately needs to be scratched. And this will certainly be his last World Cup before the inevitable decline in ability that comes with marching through your 30s. After a brief era where the star power of the sport was running low and there needed to be a new established S tier of football, this was a massive opportunity for the stars of today to scavenge the rubble of the empire that the golden generation left behind and claim a corner of modern football for themselves. So many clashing storylines and so much motivation for the superstars, so many reasons to go out there and play like their life depends on it. So somebody please explain to me why Lionel Messi is still acting like a starving, impoverished kid playing for his first professional contract to move his family out the hood. Literally mind your business, bro. You're 40. Go be with your wife and kids, my guy. You've done everything there is to do in the sport. Most of his age mates are literally sitting around scratching their ass right now. I mean, Neymar's at the World Cup, but he's been struggling with injury after injury. Who knows if he'll ever play serious minutes this World Cup? There's an 8 out of 10 chance he just goes to Miami and cheats on his girlfriend the whole tournament through the torn calf. It's absurd to me that almost all the big names are performing. They're scoring, they're assisting, they're showing up for their country. This tournament has been heaven for the footballing dead crowd that swore superstars weren't dead, and we had a whole new generation of hoopers waiting for us. Yet, even with all that, Messi is still above every last one of them. Mbappe has scored 4 and 2. Haaland has scored 4 and 2. Vinny has scored in both games and has an assist. Olise has been a playmaking machine. He has 3 assists in 2 games and probably should have had at least 1 more from that Senegal game. Kane had a brace in the opener. Dembele was pretty ass against Senegal but had a goal and an assist against Iraq. Jonathan David has a hat trick. Isak has a goal and 3 assists. There's been braces left and right. Brian Brobby had one. Gakpo had one. Undav had one. Balogun had one. Ayari had one. Cunha had one. Oyarzabal had one. Havertz had one. Yet, even after all that, Messi sits above every other player in this tournament so far with 5 goals in 2 games. At what point do we start questioning if he's an experiment created by the Argentinian government? Genuinely. This has to be some kind of advanced propaganda tool. He's going to be out there till he's like 50 boosting the country's PR. Dead ass though. I've called off work both days with France, Argentina, and Norway games, and I've been thoroughly awarded for it. I don't think we've ever seen such a demonic back and forth like this at the World Cup in our lifetimes. Quick timeline. Last Tuesday, Mbappe scores twice in the afternoon and passes Messi on the all-time list. That night, Messi scores a hat-trick and retakes the lead, as well as tying the all-time leader Miroslav Klose. He then expands on that lead with a brace against Austria yesterday before Mbappe responded with a brace of his own in the evening. I just know Mbappe was heated after that Argentina match. Whoever scheduled their games right after each other is a genius. A left-footed screamer from outside the box 15 minutes into the game, yeah, he was definitely throwing darts at a picture of Messi taped to the wall in the locker room before the match. That France shirt at the World Cup activates some kind of entity inside Mbappe. But he started reaching deep into his bag. He was out there popping his pussy. It's kind of hilarious. You look at past World Cup golden boots and it's funny. Kane won it with 6 in 2018. James Rodriguez won it with 6 in 2014. There was a 4-way tie for first place with 5 goals in 2010. And Klose won it with 5 in 2006 too. Messi has that in 2 games, bruh. The rain delay caused the start of the Norway-Senegal and second half of France-Iraq to overlap, so as soon as France ended, everybody switched to Norway, and then watched Haaland bag 2 more goals after he scored twice in the opener against Iraq. The afternoon, though, that's when shit was really jumping. Messi had a pretty shitty start to the game. He looked slow and unfocused, missed the penalty to overtake Klose's record, and I already know his fans were stressing. Then he scored shortly after, literally the default Messi goal at this point. It's kind of hilarious. Later on, stoppage time was almost over, so I went to the store to get some Marleys, and I called my friend and talked about the game. On the way, he says Messi scored. I said, yeah, I know. He was like, nah, he just scored again. I said, bro, wallahi, they need to drag him off the pitch or he's not going to stop playing until his knees are mashed potatoes and fried rice. Look at the touch on the last goal. The ball was deflected and it came at him like a missile, and he still reacted and controlled it perfectly with the side of his foot. Bro, what? That's the thing with Messi and skilled football players in general. The tech is never going anywhere. The only thing that goes is the body. Messi, though, is literally a physical freak. The pure athlete side of Messi has always been more underrated compared to his skill, but I think they're of equal importance. The narrative has always been Ronaldo is the physical specimen, while Messi is the little guy with all the talent, but I think you guys just hate short people. Messi is absolutely a physical anomaly in his own way. Besides the speed and inhuman acceleration, there's also the pure strength. How many times have we seen him throw people off him or keep his balance on the ball despite defenders knocking him over? He sent people tumbling while staying on his feet. He's body checked much bigger players. He's tanked tackles and kept running. More importantly, though, no player who's eaten the amount of nasty challenges he has in his career should even still be playing. Forget about dominating. You would see this guy get his shit stomped into an entire different direction, and then when they cut back from the replay, he'd be strolling around like he didn't almost die. What is it specifically? Well, it's probably a combination of things. Messi was actually pretty injury prone before Pep came. It blows my mind when people call Pep overrated when it comes to Messi's development. Pep genuinely changed this nigga's life, bro. Not even just by moving him central or improving his understanding of football. Messi used to get hamstring injuries left and right in his early years at Barca. He broke his foot too, but the hamstring problems were the real concern. Everybody knows once that hamstring is cooked, you're cooked. Allegedly, it was Pep that fully transformed Messi into a tank by fixing his diet, adjusting his training, and teaching him how to put less strain on his body on the pitch. It would be disingenuous to deny his impact. Messi had gotten hurt and started less than 25 games in each of the 3 seasons before Pep came, and then never started less than 25 again at Barca for the rest of his career. There's also a genetic aspect to it too, though, because I'm sorry, some of this shit you just can't train a player to take. Don't get me wrong, you can work on anticipating contact, rolling with punches, one might say, becoming more flexible to avoid straining or putting too much stress on your muscles, but half of it is just straight up having that dog in you, to be honest. There aren't many footballers that make it past 35. Most of the ones that are able to are obviously keepers, often defenders too, specifically center backs. While wide defenders get significantly handicapped by loss of athleticism because they have to keep up with speedy wingers, center backs have a little more leeway. Guys like Thiago Silva, who played in the Prem until he was 39, I think, or 40. Ramos, who was still playing last season at 40. Maldini, who was a starter from Milan till 40. He actually moved from left back to compensate for his physical decline and extended his career for years. But attackers, wingers and forwards pushing 40, even in lesser leagues, is rare. All those tackles and all that running and sprinting and the wear and tear on your body start catching up by 30 for most of them. Even getting close to 35 is a blessing for a good forward. When Messi led Argentina to the title in 2022, it was already viewed as ridiculous. He was 35. The insane burst he had in his prime had started slipping away years before. After all the bad tackles he ate throughout his career, it was a no-brainer that soon he would have to step away. Neymar was cooked by 30. Dino cooked by 30. Hazard cooked before 30. The best of the best, the most skilled, they're just not meant to last. Messi, though, doesn't appear to understand this at all. When you compare this to what the other grandpas at the tournament are putting up, it's laughable. This isn't supposed to be some type of slander or disrespect. It's just highlighting that even amongst an already small category of players that are still playing on the biggest stage as they slowly approach 40, Messi has still set himself well apart from the pack. Most of the oldest players at the World Cup are keepers. The oldest, Craig Gordon from Scotland, is 43 and not starting. Neither is Ochoa at 40. Neuer is the oldest keeper that's playing at 40. Then, of course, there's the now famous Vozinha of Cape Verde, who's 40 as well. Of the outfield players, though, 34-year-old Casemiro looks like a sloth out there. 40-year-old Modric was a step behind against England and had a pretty bad overall performance. 35-year-old Conte is on the bench. 40-year-old Dzeko was struggling to stay healthy and play. 34-year-old Neymar is recovering from an injury yet again and didn't play either of the first 2 games. And that's not to say everybody older is useless this tournament. I expect Ronaldo to score at some point. I mean, he has fucking Uzbekistan next and some of the best creators in the world behind him. They're gonna get him that goal. Salah had a great game against New Zealand too. The large majority of these guys are clearly done though, and definitely won't be of much use deeper in the tournament. Again, that's not to shit on any of these guys, because even making a World Cup squad at their ages is impressive. Asking them to still be elite is ridiculous. That's what makes Messi's persistence so fascinating. By every stretch of logic, he should have wrapped it up by now. He'd already won the World Cup. He's won the Copa America twice in a row. He's the most decorated player in football history, yet he's still sweating against Algeria in a group stage game. Now, eventually, Mbappe will overtake him. That much we know. If not this World Cup, he will next World Cup, barring some disastrous situation that forces Mbappe out of his 31-year-old tournament. But the fact that Messi's extending it for this long is frying me, bro. It's genuinely the funniest possible outcome that could have come from this tournament, and it happened. If they send him out there against Jordan and let him stat pad, it would actually be hilarious, bro. Because Haaland and Mbappe are playing each other for first place in the group, so they're definitely going out there on the 3rd day. Either way, what Messi's doing in this tournament is one of the most absurd things we've ever seen in this sport.